This is Ray.
This is Andy.
And this is FDS CFL Andy, Season 3, Episode 14.
Labor Day in the books.
Labor Day's in the books. Not only, you know what else is bigger than Labor Day in the books?
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
My birthday.
Now, your birthday never ends, though. Labor Day lasts a day, and I hear about your birthday. Well, I will for the entire month coming up.
No, but I'm going to hear for it longer than that. Do you know why?
Yes, I do know why.
Let me tell you why, Andy.
I know why.
I was working the Mount A football game versus St. Mary's University on Saturday. I was the back judge, and in the second quarter, I was along the sideline where you and your parents, Sandy J, and my wife, Jeannie B, were sitting. Mm-hmm. I spotted you guys up on the hill.
On the hill, yeah.
Because I saw your FDS shirt. Mm-hmm. Looked great, by the way.
Thank you. I got a lot of compliments on that.
Now, I'm in the middle of trying to focus on my game and concentrate on my game. And all of a sudden I hear from the crowd, hey, number 36, my official's number, happy 50th birthday.
Yep.
And I heard a whole bunch of laughing afterwards. Yep. You know why she's laughing, Andy? Because I'm only 49.
It was great. And you turned around and you looked at the whole crowd and you said, I'm only 49. And guess how many of them believed you?
Nobody.
Two of them.
Two?
Me and Jeannie, because we actually knew you were right. But otherwise, nobody believed you whatsoever. We had talked about what we were going to yell at some point. And Jeannie just... she stepped up to the plate. It was pretty good. And not a single person there is going to believe that you're only 49. The good news about turning 50 early, Ray, is next year you don't really turn 50.
Well, listen,
you've already done it.
You weren't here. When I got home from the football game,
I heard all about the plans.
50 balloons all over the yard. There was a sign on my front door saying happy 50th.
Yeah.
And she had stickers. They're all over my house. It says happy 50th birthday, Ray. And it's getting so bad that I have people from my hometown, Fort Erie, Ontario, they're messaging me on Facebook saying, are you really 50 years old? You're not 50, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now everybody thinks I'm 50 years old.
Works like a charm. Well, happy 50th birthday, Ray. Let's celebrate it with one of our sponsors here. If you just turned 50 for the second time in your life, for the first time in your life, and you got another one to go, you need yourself a Moose Light or a Moose Peach Radler.
This is a Moose Peach Radler.
Peach Mango.
Peach Mango Radler.
All right, well, I'll stick to the scary good Moose Light, the basics.
It's scary good.
If you need a shirt like the one Ray has on, which is what I was wearing in the crowd, I got some compliments on that, as well as a few questions about hats while we were there, too. John Gould had a hat on.
He did?
He was rocking it, looking good while he was in there yelling and barking at the players. That was perfect. Go see our buddies, the Doyles at Doyle Corporate Image.
Because the Doyles rule.
The Doyles rule.
Hey, quick question for you about this CFL, but listen, we're talking Canadian football here.
Yeah.
Mount A, who was the underdog in this game, Andy, were up a point with about a minute and 22 seconds left to go in the game.
Yeah.
Their defense pinned St. Mary's back, so it was third down and approximately 24.
It was
24 yards.
24.
And on that third down play, Mount A had 2 timeouts in their pocket, and they put their punt team out there. And one of the gunners off the edge takes a run for the punter. Yeah. Knocks into the punter while his leg's in the air.
Yeah.
First down for St. Mary's, basically handing the win to St. Mary's because they only needed 1 point. They needed to kick a field goal to win the game.
And they drove right down the field. All the momentum was out of Mount A's sails at that point for making that stupid mistake. And St. Mary's went right down the field and kicked the field goal. Funny enough, St. Mary's gave Mount A the opportunity to take the 1 point lead by doing your least favorite thing in Canadian football, and that's conceding a safety in the end zone.
Yep.
They did that, and then Mount A turned on the momentum, went and scored, kicks the extra point to go up 1. They had them pinned, like you said. We thought the game was over. And all of a sudden, I see the flag on the field. And there were a lot of flags in this field, especially in the first half of this game. But I see it, and I turned and I looked at my mom, and I said, the most Cleveland Browns thing that could possibly happen to Mount A right now is that they just got roughing the kicker. I couldn't believe they really did. They got roughing the kicker. They absolutely blew it. Terrible coaching job.
Well, and it's funny. I'm just going to rant for 2 seconds here. Just a quick Ray rant, because all we ever hear is about mistakes from officials. The officials did this. The officials did that. Coach, if you're up 1 point and you're sending out your punt team to have them stop, have the other team kick the ball away.
Yeah.
Call a timeout. Your boys are amped up. Call them over and say, all right, take it down a notch. We need to get this ball back. Don't touch the kicker. Don't even go in the backfield.
It was exactly. Don't even rush the kicker. Don't even go for the block, because they were kicking against the wind.
Right.
Now, the St. Mary's kicker was still able to get off some decent punts against that wind on that day, but really they didn't have to go after this one whatsoever. They probably would have caught the punt around the 55-yard line, and they would have set themselves up to basically just get a first down.
There you
and
go.
The game was going to be over.
Terrible coaching. Let's go to CFL, and hopefully, Andy, we don't have any terrible coaching to talk about in the CFL this week.
We might, but all right. So there were only 3 games. Labor Day weekend, Winnipeg at Saskatchewan was the first game. The Bombers go up late on a sneak from Chris Streveler, who didn't, again, played a typical Chris Streveler game. But Fajardo marches down the field, a 10-play, 87-yard drive, and the Riders win on a on a field goal with 0 time left on the clock to win the game by 1. This is the 6th Labor Day Classic in a row that Saskatchewan has beaten Winnipeg, and this is they've now won 14 out of the last 15.
Wow.
Yep. What do you think of this one?
Listen, this is interesting. Streveler goes 66.7% for pass completion, 161 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And Fajardo, 64.1, 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Saskatchewan, you beat Winnipeg this week, and all I've heard Saskatchewan fans go on and on about how Winnipeg's not the real deal. It's fake.
Yeah.
You barely got by Winnipeg without Matt Nichols and Andrew Harris.
That's right.
I'm telling you right now, when we're going to talk power rankings later on, I wouldn't be boasting as much as you were heading into this game about how great your Rough Riders are.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's fair enough. The second game, Toronto at Hamilton Ray. Shades of touchdown Atlantic here. Toronto once again builds a big lead in the first half, completely controls the game, and then manages to absolutely cough it up. This time in more glorious fashion than a touchdown Atlantic, as they end up losing by more than 10 with this. It's a shame they controlled the game that much. Hamilton wins the game 38-27.
I was playing in a paintball game on Monday, Andy, and let me just tell you about paintball real quick. I played with a bunch of guys that play all the time. Guys had guns with scopes on them. This one guy had a big canister on his back of air. He had 2 handguns plus his sniper rifle. These guys are full-fledged into paintball.
There you go.
I came home with not a mark on my upper body. I only got hit a couple times in the legs. I played pretty good for a 50-year-old man, if you know what I'm saying.
Taking it easy on you for your birthday.
But I came off the paintball field, and there's a gentleman that I want to call out. His name is Mike Shoesmith.
Okay.
He's a Ticats fan from out west, and he has ripped me, and I mean ripped me, on my power rankings for weeks on the CFL Trash Talk group.
Okay.
Now, I want to tell you, Mike and I have become Facebook friends.
Good.
Actually. And he texted me saying, I would not oppose you putting this team in last place for your power rankings this week.
Wow.
And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not catching the game. I'm just coming off paintball. He says, wait till you see what the score when you get home, because the Ticats were killed. Toronto was up 24-11 at half.
Yeah.
Ticats come back, and now I'm getting roasted again because of where I got the Ticats. But we'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah, we'll get it. Final game of the Labor Day Classics, Edmonton at Calgary. Harris once again can't get in the end zone, Ray. And Bo looks rather solid in his return to Calgary. Calgary wins this one 25-9. I was expecting a much more competitive game. I was expecting a little bit more rust on Bo. And I think it was there, but it didn't matter.
He looked a little rusty in the first. He was trying to get his feel down, his timing down, get the feel for the speed of the game again. But by the second half, Andy, he did what he had to do to win this ball game.
Yep.
And I'm telling you right now, CFL fans, it's only going to get better for Bo.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to digress from what we saw yesterday. and with the rest of the CFL playing backup quarterbacks, I'm just saying look out for Calgary.
Look out for Calgary. Okay. Because a couple of weeks ago you were saying look out for Calgary trading Bo Levi Mitchell. So you've really, really quickly taken a turn on that.
Well, maybe Arbuckle's going to get traded now.
Maybe. Hey, somebody could use Arbuckle.
They sure could.
What a terrible year this is for quarterbacks overall. It's nice to see Bo back.
It is
really
nice.
To see Bo
it's
back.
nice to see Bo back.
Now,
I love the bandana.
And
a big bandana guy.
There you go. I know another guy that wears a bandana. So you don't seem to like him very much. But that being said, I would have loved to have seen a much better showing when you've got two of the teams with the two top quarterbacks still healthy, or at least Bo finally healthy, playing against each other, and the Eskimos can't put up a fight at all. All right, what's your take it and leave it this week?
All right, my take it this week, Andy, I was surprised today. Now, I've seen when I look at our stats on our website, this Flipboard stat thing come up on our site. My take it this week is the Flipboard app.
Okay.
For the Android.
Okay.
I'm sure it's for Apple too. Yeah. But Flipboard is a news app that you can kind of adjust for the stories you want to see, or, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was flipping through the CFL news today, and on the fourth flip, our CFL power rankings came up.
There you go.
So,
Great job.
Flipboard is catching stuff from our website from the CFL and pushing it out. I think it's fantastic. Any app or our Twitter handles, CFL News and CFL Headlines.
Yeah.
These guys, they help promote our stuff like crazy, and I'm putting all those in the take it for helping us get out there.
I'm a big fan of anybody who knows we exist. So
exactly.
I'm taking that too.
I'm taking it. I'm leaving my boy Trevor Harris
You've left
again.
This guy so many times, Ray. How can we even find him?
I don't even know if this guy will ever actually come on the podcast again, Andy. But listen, Trevor Harris is absolutely non-existent in the red zone. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
This guy took an Ottawa team to the Grey Cup last year by throwing the ball and putting points on the board.
Yep.
And he has got zero confidence in the red zone right now. This week here, he threw for 200 yards. He threw for 263 yards, 216 yards he threw for. Sorry, I just had to go back to my old page.
There you go.
Threw for 216, but the two games prior to this, Andy, he threw for over 400 yards.
Yep.
But he's still not putting the ball in the end zone.
Yeah. And, a lot of that is on Trevor Harris. A lot of that is on the play calls. Trevor Harris is not calling the plays whatsoever. The running game has to figure itself out in Edmonton at some point for them to really make any noise. Yeah. I think that's become super obvious.
There's no question. But listen, in the CFL, you got it's different than the game south of the border.
Yeah.
In the fact that you have receivers running all over the place. Mm-hmm. They're in motion at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
If you can't find a man open in the CFL, you got problems as a quarterback.
All right. Well, we're leaving Trevor Harris yet again. And if anybody heard that, something else I'm leaving is Ray drying his clothes during podcast taping, but but I think they're done. I don't know. I'm sure they heard that, right? So
our studio doors open to the laundry room. Sorry, folks.
He never took a single paintball but he had some clothes to wash.
I got nothing on me.
All right, power rankings. You just mentioned them. They were on Flipboard, which is awesome. This is an exciting week, and we both kind of made some moves here. So Power rankings this week. I can no longer deny the Hamilton Tiger Cats at the number 1 spot. Despite the fact that now Evans, everybody's going on about Evans played the greatest Labor Day Classic for a Hamilton quarterback in years and years and years. It was a tale of two halves. And yes, he came on hard in the second half and absolutely played amazing and really turned the whole game into an excellent body of work. But I'm still not completely sold on this guy. But you know what? The whole team around him is so strong, Ray, at a 9-2 record at this point. You can tell me all you want that they didn't beat a lot of great teams. There aren't a lot of great teams to beat. So they're number 1 by far for me. Saskatchewan with their win over Winnipeg gets moved into number 2. Now, I was hesitant to do this, but you know what? It was a head-to-head matchup. Winnipeg's getting a rematch immediately to take it back. So I'm going Saskatchewan at number 2. Winnipeg drops down to number 3. I know the Andrew Harris thing is temporary. The Chris Trevor thing is not temporary. And the book is becoming very easy to read on him. So number 4 is Calgary. They jump a spot with Bo's return, and I think this is going to be a steady increase for them, like you just alluded to. Edmonton drops down to 5. Montreal stays at 6. Everything else remains the same. Montreal stays at 6. They didn't play. Ottawa, Toronto, BC. Right.
All right, for me, what I did this week is I had Saskatchewan at number 2 last week with Winnipeg at number 1. They beat Winnipeg, whether they just got by them, but they did beat them.
Yep.
So I had to put Saskatchewan at number 1. I finally made that move and did so. I might have been hard on the Blue Bombers, but without Harris and without Nichols, I dropped them down to 4th right now, and I feel okay doing that because I don't see their future changing until both these guys are back. I could have put Hamilton up into number 2, but that means they would have jumped over Calgary, and Calgary won. Yeah. And we just talked about how good this team looked with Bo, and it's good to see him back. Yeah. I only think the arrow points up for Calgary. I kept Calgary at number 2. I put Hamilton number 3. Then I went Blue Bombers. And then another big move for me, Montreal was off, but I put Montreal ahead of Edmonton this week. And that's specifically because you can't win ball games if your QB can't throw touchdowns in the red zone.
Yeah, I can't blame you too much for that move. That's fair.
And let's face it, folks. Here's the other thing about Hamilton. Yes, they won this week, but who did they beat? They beat Toronto, who is the 8th place team in both our rankings. So I can't give Hamilton a huge prop or move them up 3 spots when they only beat Toronto, the 8th place team. Anyways, those are my power rankings. I stand firm by them. Firm.
Good.
And for all you Ticats fans that are giving me crap out there, Andy, I just want clarification.
We're both repping Ticats. I was impressed to see that hat.
What hat am I wearing tonight?
You're wearing the Ticats.
I'm wearing the Ticats hat. Where did I get this Ticats hat?
At Tim Hortons Field.
Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, Ontario, because we were there last year. I went to college in Hamilton. I know a lot about the city of Hamilton, all right? Love the city of Hamilton. I don't have a hate on for Hamilton like all these people are telling me I do.
Right.
But listen, you people have to realize your team's not one. Sure, Andy's got them number 1. I don't think they're number 1, and we'll let the schedule over the next few weeks tell us differently.
Fair enough. All right. Run me through some odds and ends for the week before we get into our picks.
Odds and ends. So, Andy, last week, Anthony LeBlanc yet again set another deadline.
Yep.
Okay?
But he made it this time.
He made it this time. Just barely.
Just under the wire.
Just barely.
Yep.
The Atlantic Schooners got their bid in for the new stadium and the development.
Their business plan, yes.
Their business plan by end of day on August the 30th, Friday last week. It's a 40-page report detailing everything from traffic in and out of the stadium to the real estate around the stadium, Andy. They hired a third-party firm to complete the report, and I guess this third-party firm, they don't do their work for free. It's very expensive.
They do not, no.
So you can officially say that guys like LeBlanc, co-owners Gary Drummond and Bruce Bowser, these guys have actual skin in the game now at this point.
Big time. Yeah.
And, these entrepreneurs, you're not putting skin in the game for something that
you don't think's a healthy investment.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay. So it's now with the city of Halifax. They figured they're going to hear back from the city of Halifax by the end of September, hopefully.
Yeah.
But it's really up to HRM city staff now, and it's up to them whether this team's going to happen or it's not going to happen.
This is going to be the final yay or nay in September. And from what we're hearing, we heard some reports from some interviews with, Tony Mancini, who's the Halifax councillor we've had on our show twice, I think now.
Twice.
He's a great guy, but he says the city's very hesitant in cutting a check. In other words, they don't want skin in the game at all. I have a feeling that the business proposal is going to request that Halifax put some money into this in perhaps the form of a loan. I'm just guessing. So it's going to come down to Halifax and them voting on whether or not they're buying into the fact that having this CFL team and this multi-purpose stadium, not just a CFL stadium, but a multi-purpose sports complex that will be operable year-round, whether or not that's going to be good for their city or not. I find it very hard to believe that you wouldn't come out thinking that it is, but politicians, councilmen, various things like that, crazy things happen and crazy decisions are made that we'll never understand. So, fingers crossed.
There you go. Well, we can only hope and pray now that everything works out and we get a decision soon.
Yep.
Only other news I got for you, and we're going to be talking about Week 13 games coming up here, Andy, but the Ottawa Red Blacks are making a big move at quarterback. They're going to be sitting Dominic Davis, and Jonathan Jennings is the new starting quarterback.
It's a big move
for the Red Blacks.
I feel like they've made that big move before, and anyway, so... Well, oh, man, nothing bores me more in the CFL than Ottawa at the moment.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ottawa Red Blacks fans, but man.
All right, let's get into picking Week 13.
Yeah, let's talk about our picks. So we both went 1-2 in the Labor Day weekend. I remember I was thinking I was going to go a little crazy
1-2? I thought I went 2-1.
Well, what I had for your picks here, you tell me if I was wrong, but...
we went completely opposite.
I thought we both picked Edmonton.
No, I took Calgary. You took Edmonton.
Then you did go 2-1. I apologize.
I had Saskatchewan, Toronto, and Calgary.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I had you written down for also taking Edmonton. So you went 2-1. I went 1-2. And you called Toronto as your upset though, so you didn't get your upset.
Yeah, I didn't get my upset.
All right, cool. All right, so I'll fix this up. But we got 26-20, good to go. So I am 28-18 on the season now, with 5-7 in my picks and locks, or my locks and upsets. Yep. You are now 26-20 on the season, and also 5-7. So you're there. There's only 2 games that you need to make up. All right. Now we got 4 games this weekend coming up. Let's start. We have Friday, and we have a triple header on Saturday.
I'm the lock.
You're the lock this week.
Lock.
Okay. And we got a triple header on Saturday. The Friday game is BC at Montreal. That's a long trip. A long trip. What do you got?
I'm going to use my lock right out of the gate here. Mm-hmm. Right out of the gate, Andy. And I'm going with my buddy Vernon Adams Jr. and the Montreal Alouettes as my lock.
Lock of the week. All right. I am going Montreal winning this game at home as well. Like I said, every week so far, I will continue to bet against BC until they give me a reason not to. And beating the Toronto Argonauts with a Rouge or whatever is not that reason. All right, Saturday, Toronto at Ottawa. Boy, this is a battle of the juggernauts.
I'm taking Toronto.
You're taking Toronto on the road. I think what I'm going to do, if you'll let me take... No, I can't take Ottawa as the upset with Toronto as their record. I'm also going to take Toronto, Ray. I'll have to find a better upset to call than that one. I wouldn't blame you at all for not letting me do that. All right, the next game, Saskatchewan at Winnipeg. Big rematch of the Labor Day Classic.
Big rematch.
Yeah.
Home crowd for Winnipeg.
Home crowd. And many would argue Winnipeg's a harder place to play than Saskatchewan, though many wouldn't argue that as well.
I'm going blue.
Yeah, going blue.
I'm going blue. I'm taking Winnipeg.
All right. I'm going to take Winnipeg as well. We're going to have a conversation here about my upset because I'm starting to think the only option I have for an upset here is calling BC. We'll see. These are all too close.
Well, based on what's happening, based on the roster, I'll give you Winnipeg as an upset.
You give me Winnipeg as an upset. Yeah. All right. I will take Winnipeg as well, and that will be my
See how
upset.
Friendly I am? At the age of 50, I'm so friendly.
You are so friendly. All right. And the final game on Saturday, another rematch from Labor Day. We got Calgary this time visiting Edmonton.
until Harris can show me that he can throw touchdowns in the red zone, Andy, I'm going against him, and I'm taking Calgary.
I'm feeling a little crazy, and I'm going to call Edmonton to win this game at home.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to call Edmonton to win this game at home.
So what do we have for differences? We got Montreal the same. We both took Toronto.
Yep.
We're both taking Winnipeg.
Yep.
So I only got one game to catch this week.
You only got one game to catch.
Donovan.
Yep. All right. Fantasy. Fantasy.
Fantasy was not fun for me this week.
What a weird week. So I actually ended up with an okay week, despite the fact that I picked, I can't even think of his name right now, Cameron Marshall or something like that. The guy that's been basically starting for Hamilton. He must have got hurt at some point.
Okay.
I didn't read enough or pay enough attention going into the weekend. He didn't even play at all. I still ended up with 85.8 points. That puts me at 997.2 on the season. That drops me down to 3rd in FDS and 24th in the Schooners group. Now, Ray, I don't know what happened with you. You had, for the first time, you didn't have one of those wonky rosters where you left 2 spots open or anything like that. You had a roster without a defense, which is pretty standard.
Yeah.
44 points on the nose.
I know, terrible.
888.3 on
and
the
I had
season.
some good players picked. They just didn't do anything. It was just terrible. Bad Labor Day weekend.
Now, you get a 25-point bonus at the end of the season because of the Touchdown Atlantic Challenge, though I am now ahead by 112 points.
That's
so
right.
I'm not too worried about that just yet. You are in 6th place for FDS now and down to 37th in the Schooners group. Now, what do you got going on this week for fantasy?
I'm starting Cody Fajardo. William Stanback's back. He's going to be putting up points this week.
Good.
I got Jones, the running back from Edmonton.
Yep.
Eugene Lewis, who's been just a monster for Montreal. Mm-hmm. And I got Darrell Walker from Toronto and Johnny Augustine, I'm joking with you there.
Yeah. Nice try. I'm going Vernon Adams Jr. at the quarterback position this week. My running backs are going to be Kadeem Carey for Calgary, and I'm going Johnny Augustine as well.
Okay.
I feel like he's a little underpriced now.
I do too.
TSN CFL Fantasy is kind of slow to react to some things. Wide receiver, I'm going Devere Posey for my Montreal receiver to pair with Vernon Adams. Shaquille Evans of Saskatchewan, who had a monster game. And another Saskatchewan receiver, Karen Moore, will round out my group this week. So we'll see how this goes.
That's great.
All right. Well, that's our show for this week. Heading into week 13, lucky number 13. Hopefully it is lucky number 13 because I need some of these guys to perform to get me back into the fantasy race. 100%. All right, guys. Enjoy the games, and we'll talk to you next week. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening to us on your podcast, leave a comment or feedback or something.
You know what we'd love if you could take the time. We'd love for you to first of all subscribe, and if you could rate our podcast, let us know what you think. That'd be fantastic.
Yep, perfect.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.